Okay, so have I ever told you the story of May 27th about my niece?
No. Nope.
So May 27th is a big day in the Stimple household and for my nieces and sister's household, I guess. So May 27th, 2003, I was in Baghdad. Just, about a couple months after the start of the invasion, we're in Baghdad. We're in a limbo mode where we don't have a lot to do. Supplies had run out. We weren't getting supplies in. We were making our own food there for a while until they stopped us from going into the markets because bad things happen.
Sure.
And so we were eating tea rations and MREs.
Which is, I'm sure, super good on the digestive system. So, yeah.
That's why I still have problems.
Yeah,
right. That, and we had to drink out of the Tigris River, and
I'm sure that's
put a billion iodine pills in that stuff, and it
no life straws.
Called it Saddam's revenge.
Yeah, right.
So we didn't have a lot to do at the time, and so we'd get like special little details, like security details, around security for hiring officials or military personnel, or even just local police. Anyway, I got put on a security detail one day for one of our lieutenants, and he had to meet with a local politician, and so we got started, in the mid-morning and went into Baghdad, and we actually got taken to this restaurant for lunch. And like I said, living off the food we were living off, getting to eat this real hamburger with lettuce, tomato, all the good stuff on it.
Right.
And to drink a Pepsi for the first time in months, it just, I've never taken it. I could probably eat it right now and it'd be like, whoa. That burger is top 3 meal for me all time. So it could even be number 1. Anyway, so we then get to the building, and we were sat outside for security, and this guy walks up with a satellite phone, and he's like, phone home, and we thought he was making an ET joke or something. And finally we realized it was a satellite phone, and he's like, here, and just use it. And so we gave him like $5 to just to give him something, which was a lot of money for him. And so
but if he knew how valuable that thing really was,
right? Oh my gosh,
you probably would have paid 3 times that amount.
Yeah, $15 easy. And so I call my dad. I haven't talked to my parents in forever. Early February at the it may have been January, February. I may have gotten my last letter late February from them, because with the supply stops of the mail, and so I hadn't talked to them in forever. Call up my dad. Dad's like, I can't believe you're calling me right now. We're headed to the hospital. Your sister's in labor. And on top of the hamburger and this news, I'm gonna be an uncle today. It just was the best day, and I got outside of our fob and got to do something and see the city.
Right.
So we're driving back, and I was the driver for our 113 APC armored personnel carrier.
Right.
Not a tank, but still a tracked vehicle. And driving down the highway 50 miles an hour, we get up on this 100-foot bridge, no water, dried up at some point in life.
Right.
And big, tall, long bridge, and going 50 miles an hour, big smile on my face, so happy, like best day ever. And I hear a big old pop in the track on the right side. It blew up because it was just old and it hadn't been replaced because no supplies.
Sure.
And so we were going to throw track. And what's scary about that is when that happens, the dominant side will pull the track in the opposite direction. And so I could hear the rivets on the track just as it was about to come off. And I was like, I've got seconds to think. So I knew I was going to have to time it.
And you're doing 50, and it's not like these things have a emergency brake that you can just pull and.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no, it's not at all like that.
Right.
So I'm like, I got to time this perfect, because if I miss it, we could fly off to the right off the bridge. And so I knew if I hit the brake, it would lock up the track. The opposite side of track wheels would take us into the median. That's better than going off this bridge.
Right.
Boom, hit the median, big old crash, big, huge injuries to my shoulder, still messed up to this day. Another concussion on the checklist. I was stretchered off, taken off an ambulance. Ended up being fine. But as I'm getting put into the ambulance and I'm kind of out of it, all I can really think about is I'm going to be an uncle.
Yeah, Britt. Yep. Going through her thing. Yep. That's awesome. And
so we got back and we got redeployed back home in middle of July, and my parents came down for the weekend, surprised me. It was a great thing. And we went to Savannah for the weekend. And, the first night, I'm just like, this story, and going in chronological order. You get to May 27th, and I start telling this. I'm like, listen, you remember that day? And I finished the story, and my mom and dad look at it. They're like, and my dad's like, that ended up being a false labor.
Oh no.
and she wasn't born until May 29th. And it's just like a deflated.
Deflated, yeah.
Greatest story ever. Now it's it's a funny story to laugh about, but
right.
Pretty special day in our household on May 27th. That I called my niece and wish her a happy fake birthday. I don't sing to her anymore, but
sure, yeah.
And so today is her real birthday, 18th birthday. Happy birthday, Ella. We love you so much. So proud of you, Bug. And looking forward to what's next for you. So. Welcome to the party, nerds. This is the Nerd Rundown, where we cover the latest in the nerd world of movies, TV, comics, games, and more. I'm your host, Darren Stemple, and with me, as always, is my co-pilot, the man with a godlike voice, Eric Hare. We appreciate you joining us today, and if you want to follow us on social media, you can find us on Twitter at The Nerd Rundown, find us on our YouTube channel at The Nerd Rundown, and then listen to our podcast on all the places like Spotify, Google, Apple, iHeartRadio, Pandora, Player FM, Amazon, Deezer, and Buzzsprout. In a world of the Chicago Bulls, Pokemon, Tickle Me Elmos, and Bill Clinton's sex scandals are two nerds looking back at the year of 1996 in movies. Quite possibly the best year in cinema ever. So strap into your spaceship to chase down some twisters and do the impossible. Break into the rock. It's 1996, the podcast. Okay, excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent,
okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Here on episode 8, 1990 Nerd, we have a fantastic show for you all where we'll cover the latest on our rundown. And then we'll get to our special segment about the year in cinema from 1996 and answer some nerd questions. And before we get to any of that, I want to take a moment to say Happy Memorial Day.
Yep.
Thank you to all of our vets. And I think especially those who gave their life to defend freedom in this country. Freedom and liberty is of the utmost importance to us. So
yeah, we thank everybody for their sacrifice and service for sure. Yep.
So, however, before we get to the rundown, we wanted to let you know that we'll be dropping some nerd references throughout the show, not stopping to acknowledge them. We want you all to count as many as you can and send them to us. Apparent or not, count them up. We want to know how many nerd references we dropped, and it'd be kind of a fun little game for y'all to play. And also, you can see we're on video for the first time. So now you can start putting a face to the name.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you know what that man with the godlike voice looks like.
Right.
So Also, I love complimenting Eric because it makes him so squeamish and he can't take it. So you ever want to see Eric feel a little uneasy, just give him some compliments. He deserves them anyway.
It makes me uncomfortable every time. So
yeah. And, 98% of y'all probably know what at least one of us looks like. So at least now you know what the other guy looks like.
Right.
Wish we knew what you all look like, especially Mr. Jablomi on YouTube, one of our followers.
Yes, Haywood. Yes.
Mr. Haywood. Haywood Jablomi. You're late for your flight.
Right. That's good stuff.
So looking forward to being on video with you, buddy. So,
yep.
But now, can we get a
rundown?
And on the rundown today, big rundown this week here, Eric. We want to start off with what the week got started off with is the Eternals trailer. Big time trailer. Finally got our first real look at this movie. We've got a 14-second look before, but this kind of gave us a little bit of more context. And even though we really don't know a whole lot about this movie, we just want to get your quick first reaction to the trailer, and then we'll give you a little bit of information on who, what, and why the Eternals, because we had to look it up ourselves. This is a very obscure comic book run or lore. It's really only become popular more recently. Even though they've been there since the 70s and around the beginning of Marvel. But Eric, reaction to the trailer?
Cryptic. I think would probably be the word that comes to my mind. It looks cool. It really does. It's got Salma Hayek in it, so I'm in. I'm sold. I'll go see it. So
all in on Salma Hayek.
Yep. So, but I think it looks cool. I mean, there's definitely they don't give anything away, I think, in the trailer as far as where we're headed with this. I mean, they give kind of a quick breakdown of where these people are, like how they've been involved in human history through time, which I don't know if I'm a big fan of that, because I think it maybe takes away from human beings' actual really accomplishments, but we'll see. It's like, I mean, to look back and see the things that we really have accomplished all on our own, it's pretty amazing. But
I mean, do you really think Steve Jobs thought up all that stuff on his
life? Yeah, like fiber optics. I mean, come on, that's got clearly alien technology. So seriously. Yeah, right. No, I again, cryptic. Not a lot of giving away the store, but the costumes look great.
Yeah.
The special effects looked amazing. The music was really great. I think you and I talked about it. The music was really good.
It was it fit like like who they are. Like it just felt like this is what gods would listen to. Yeah.
So I think it looks.
Chloe Zhao, the director, just coming off her big win at the Academy for Best Picture, Best Director.
Yep.
Very, very. This will be like the first time you get a director that for Marvel that can say that. So it's big there. Quick notes on who the Eternals are. Okay. So they're ageless, godlike beings who've existed on Earth for thousands of years. They've helped us progress in ways. They've never interfered in our wars or anything of that ilk. But they were created by the Celestials, who are the real gods of the Marvel Universe. You may remember them from Guardians of the Galaxy, big old guy and a vision threw down the Power Stone and destroyed a planet. So they destroy planets that they don't like. And so when they find a planet they do like, they create the Eternals to protect the Earth. Okay.
Now, was Kurt Russell's character from Guardians of the Galaxy?
So Kurt Russell was Ego the planet, was a Celestial. He said he's the last of his kind. I don't know if you can really trust that, but the Celestials also in that lineage is Thanos from the big bad from Infinity War and Endgame. Yeah. However, he was born with what's called a deviant gene, which is like the bad eternal gene. And so the deviants have always been at war with the Eternals, which that may be who the bad guy for this movie is. We don't really know who that is. It could be one of their own in the Eternals. And so the team, speaking of which, is made up of Richard Madden, who you know as Robb Stark.
Robb Stark,
the first King of the North in Game of Thrones. He's kind of their leader. Okay. They all kind of lead in their own way, as Selma Hayek is the spiritual leader. Her name is Ajak. She's also the healer of the group. Okay. So maybe she helped in advancements in medicine. Angelina Jolie's Thena, she's their military commander. Kumail Nanjiani from Silicon Valley.
Yeah, he's a pretty funny guy.
Beefed up for this movie.
Yeah.
Very funny guy. He's playing Kingo. He's a great swordsman. Okay. And he lives a double life as a Bollywood actor in this movie. So
that's awesome.
Cool to see that.
I love Bollywood stuff. I don't know why.
Stuff is so. That's why I really liked. What's that Chris Hemsworth movie? Anyway. Brian Tyree Henry is Phastos. He's a master of technology. Okay. So he helps create stuff. Ma Dong Seok is Gilgamesh. He's the strongest one. So he's the big warrior. Okay. Leah McHugh is Sprite. She is an adult, but always appears as a 13-year-old. So you know that if that'll play on the psyche a little bit at times, especially when you can create illusions, which is her power. So
I think we talked about that earlier, and I thought to myself, God, if I was stuck as a 13-year-old forever, that would be hell. Yeah, I mean, that would be absolute hell, you know?
Oh yeah, that was
because nobody takes you seriously. Yeah, right. Yeah. You know, like you're starting to mature, but you're still, but if you were like fully developed brain and fully developed emotions and be stuck at that, and people would treat you like a child. Yeah, people would treat you like a child. Yep.
Yeah, so she can create illusion. Oh, and so they all have the normal like god powers, like strength, flight, energy projection, but they all have their own specialty.
Got it.
Lauren Ridloff is playing Makari. She's the speedster. She's actually a deaf actress playing a deaf character.
Oh, cool.
Really cool. So she
kind of reminds me of The Quiet Place with the deaf character in that one, which I think is great.
And also Godzilla vs. Kong had a really great display of
they did what
a deaf character would be like. So anyway, another big character in this movie is Dane Whitman, played by Jon Snow. Jon Snow, the King in the North. Man, did he deserve a better ending? Hopefully he gets it here.
The ant lover himself. So
yeah.
Aunt lover. Yeah. Twice
removed on your mother's side.
Yeah, right.
So Dane Whitman is playing a character named Black Knight, and his lineage traces back to Sir Percy from the Round Table, so right next, King
Arthur.
King Arthur, and Merlin forged his sword, which is called the Ebony Blade, and it's cursed, and it makes people kind of crazy who wield it. So, wondering how that plays into this movie with Dane Whitman and the Black Knight. He doesn't have a whole lot of history with the Eternals. He does with Cersei, who is about as close as you can get to a lead character for this movie. She's played by Gemma Chan, super hot woman. She can create matter. It's her hand you see on the dirt creating the water.
Oh, cool. Yeah, that was a cool clip. Yep.
Yeah, so there's a love triangle between the two brothers from Winterfell and Cersei in this. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. But he doesn't have a big history at the Eternal, so he's an interesting addition to this movie, and I'm excited to see what they do with it because it's really been kept under wraps what he's doing.
Yeah, well, this is pretty big for this phase. I mean, this movie is going to be pretty big, pretty important for this phase of the MCU, I think. So yeah,
we know nothing, Jon Snow.
That's true.
We also know nothing about this movie. So very excited. It comes out in November. It's going to add so much backstory to the MCU and context to certain situations. We're going to find out why they didn't step in against Thanos.
Right. It seems like kind
of a big time to step in.
A big deal. Yeah.
Maybe because it was a universe-wide thing. I don't know. I'm sure the Feister has some great explanation on that.
Yeah. Well, he was only going to kill half of the he's only going to kill half. So they were like,
Maybe they
well,
agreed with that.
yeah, they're like, you know what? Maybe half needed to go. Maybe that's the half that needed to go. I don't know. You know, so.
they give a little bit of push at times, and maybe they're just like, go get that stone.
Let's just go with 50%. Okay, you know,
deal.
he was pushing for 85 to 90, and they said let's just do 50. You know,
compromise of 50.
Yeah.
Deal or no deal.
No, it looks great. I can't wait.
Yeah,
looking forward to it. Yep.
All right. Next on the rundown, we have a new Wonka, and he's going to be played by Timothée Chalamet, who he's going to be a household name. If he's already not, he's going to be a household.
He's getting there. Yep.
Name, you know, over the next couple of years, with him being in Dune.
Yes.
Dune.
Yeah.
Dune.
Hey, he may be in Doom. I don't know. Maybe they'll do a Doom movie.
Maybe they will.
If they do, I will be in line for that, because Doom is one of my favorite gaming series. Yeah, absolutely. I've played just about every version of Doom that's been out, and I love it. It's awesome. Cool. So, yeah.
I love Doom. It's a great game.
Yep.
And so with Wonka, this is going to be a reboot. It's going to be an origin story. So it's not going to be a continuation of either of the other two movies.
Yeah.
We'll get to see a different side of Timothée Chalamet, who, you know, we've never seen him sing or dance. Unlike the other person that was up for this role, the cute little bunny Tom Holland.
Gotta love him.
We love
that kid.
We love Tom Holland in this house. Banana. She's obsessed with Tom Holland for good reason. I mean,
he's a cute kid, you know.
Just put him in my pocket. And so excited to see what they do with this Wonka. Wonka's big name in my household with my dad. It's his favorite movie, the Gene Wilder version.
Yeah.
He thinks of himself as Willy Wonka, as he's an entrepreneur and loves to eat candy. So those two things equals your Wonka.
Your Wonka,
and, he has a golden ticket in his office, and so
that's great.
Wonka was a big movie in our household growing up, and I know Dad's going to be excited to see what they do with this.
Yeah, looking forward to it. Yep.
It's official now. Next on the rundown, it's official. Amazon bought MGM, and so what that really means is it's going to give the chance for
a Bond villain now actually owns the Bond series.
Yes.
So I am thoroughly convinced that Jeff Bezos is a real life Bond villain. He's the bald head. He's a billionaire. You know, he owns a company that now is putting rockets into space. The dude is straight out of Bond, and now he's going to be controlling the narrative in Bond movies, you know, because he has controlling stake of it. So I'm like,
who's
everyone will be like
rival.
Every movie is going to be painted now to make him look like he's not a Bond villain, just so you know.
It's the irony that's so
$8.5 billion. $8.5 billion.
Just like that too. I mean,
it's crazy.
Without a blink.
Yep.
Like, heck yeah. But that gives some movies maybe to have some breathing room and maybe be remade, or, you know, as much as we want original movies, they're going to keep remaking movies.
Right.
So if they're going to keep remaking movies, this has a great roster of you know, very well-known properties. The Rocky, James Bond. I'd love a new Thomas Crown Affair movie. Tomb Raider, RoboCop. You know, so some big movies there in the nerd culture.
Yep, for sure. Yep, looks it gives them some legitimacy. It gives Amazon some legitimacy in that world. We'll see what happens. I did see that there was some political people that were already kind of maneuvering to fight it, but we'll see what happens. So
we'll see.
Yep.
Remake Thomas Crown Affair, but also just cut in the scenes with
Rene Russo. So hot.
It'll be a $1 billion
to touch the hiney.
$1 billion hit. So next on the rundown, we got a full trailer finally for The Tomorrow World, starring Chris Pratt.
Speaking of Amazon
about this. Very good segue to the next one. Very excited about this. Gave us an idea of what the movie is and how it's come to be that teachers are on the front lines. Unless you're Brett King, I don't know about that, but the draft is a perfect way to bring that in.
Yeah, for sure. So it looks it looks great. I mean, it looks a lot of fun. I think this is a summer block. This kind of gives you the return of the summer blockbuster with everybody kind of taking the year off last year with everything. So this is, you know, nobody's gonna gain any IQ points by watching this movie, but it looks like just a fun action sci-fi adventure that you're gonna be like, it's like, I'm going to sit down, buckle up, and just hang on for the ride. You know, there were, you know, the trailer I thought was really good. There was one element to it that I struggled with. You know, like I get the whole time, like, you know, basically the premise of the movie is that these people from the future come back in time to tell people
time.
Yeah, right. So that they come back in time to tell everybody that they're fighting a war against this alien species that's invading the Earth, and
they need help.
And they need help, and so they're drafting people from the past to come into the future to fight these aliens so that humanity can continue and survive on. And so, you know, which the time travel stuff, I can believe that.
Yeah.
You know, like I you know, we've got time travel stuff. You know, we've got time travel movies. You know, Einstein's theory of general relativity says that it's possible. You know, as you faster get the speed of light. You know, blah blah blah. You know, and then the alien invasion stuff. I mean, it's, if there's no aliens out there, it seems like an awful big waste of space. You know, so I can get behind that alien stuff. You know, the alien invasion things, and that's a popular theme in movies and all that stuff. I guess the most unrealistic portion of this trailer for me was that you have this American family, you know, having this Christmas party, and, you know, the family sits down around the TV and they watch a soccer game. Like, I'm like, you know what? That's completely unrealistic. That would never happen. No red-blooded American family is going.
Right out.
Yeah, it's like time travel I can get past. Aliens invasion I can get past, but I just cannot believe that a red-blooded American family would watch a soccer game at a Christmas party. You know, I can't do it. I can't do it. This movie is completely unbelievable to me. So
it's stupid.
Yeah,
stupid
right.
face.
Right. Yeah, right.
Good line though in the trailer is, "How are you so calm?"
Right.
There's this long story.
It's a long story. Yeah.
You have some military experience.
Yeah. Yeah. So I guess it's
it's kind of short story.
Short story.
Chris Pratt.
But Chris Pratt's delivery is so great, you know. But I think the two of them are going to have really great chemistry with one another. You know, I think that's going to be. The cast looks really good. I really think it looks good.
It's got Yvonne Strahovski in it, who is from Chuck, and whoa, she's good. So that comes out on Paramount Plus. It's not in the theaters. So
Amazon. Yep, Amazon.
What am I thinking? Paramount?
The next one. I think the next one we're going to talk about.
In two.
Yep.
The next one's there in two.
Oh, okay. Yep. Yep. Okay. Yep.
So just Amazon. That's right. Because
Amazon
coming off the buys MGM. Well, anyway. Yep. So looking forward to that.
Yeah, it looks great.
Aaron Taylor Johnson is cast as Kraven the Hunter. Next on the rundown. So Aaron Taylor Johnson, you know, from Age of Ultron, he was Quicksilver. He was Kick-Ass in Kick-Ass 1 and 2.
Yep.
He was in the first Godzilla movie with Bryan Cranston.
Right.
He's got some good nerd cred under his belt. Now he's got a starring role in the expansion of Sony's Marvel universe. So this, you know, whatever's tied to Spidey, and it's different, but it's also the same. Kind of confusing. Looking forward to seeing what Aaron Taylor Johnson can bring to this gravitas role of Kraven the Hunter. He's a master hunter, obviously, and he's a good foe for Spidey.
Yeah, I know nothing about this character, so I'm looking forward to seeing it. Yeah,
and you asked me last night if I think that this is going to be more Suicide Squad or Sinister Six, or building to, you know what.
Sure.
I think it's going to be more, maybe my guess, because I think we're going to get more like a team up of all these villains.
That's what I was wondering, like, because they're kind of working through with like Venom, and now they're working with Carnage, and now they're working with Kraven, and so, you know, and then I've heard Electro and Vulture. You know, they've done Electro, they've done a Vulture. You know, in the previous Spider-Man stuff. So I'm just wondering if they're kind of
Spider-Man 3: No Way Home comes out in December. It's confirmed Doc Ock and Electro, and a big rumor is even possibly, it hasn't been but that Norman Osborn's Green Goblin is coming back, and so I think that we'll get more Sinister Six in the MCU side of the house as opposed to the Sony side of the house, and that I think could build more towards a team up. But who knows? I don't know. It's a weird deal that like when Spidey can be in the MCU, but Venom and Kraven can't. So
right.
We'll see. But I'm good for Aaron Taylor Johnson getting this role. Yeah.
We're looking forward to it.
Hey, so there's this streaming service called Paramount Plus. It's got this movie coming out called Infinite. Have you heard about it?
I've seen the trailer. I watched the trailer the other night. Mark Wahlberg, Anton Fuqua, Mark Wahlberg, Chiwetel Ejiofor, I think is how you say his name.
Chiwetel Ejiofor, I think.
Yeah, something like that. Anyhow, he's a phenomenal actor.
Very good,
yeah. I remember seeing him. I think the first thing I saw him in was Serenity, with Joss Whedon and Nathan Fillion and them. And he was so good as the bad guy in that one. Yeah, he looks like he plays a big bad.
A little bit longer than I think, but yeah.
Yeah, he just is. He's a really phenomenal actor, and so he looks like he plays the big bad in this one. Yeah, it looks like an interesting one, kind of in the same Eternals vein there. It seems to be there's a race of people, of infinite people. That
what's different is they die.
Yeah, and they
just reincarnate, or at least that's what maybe they're leading us to believe through the trailer.
Right.
But I want to touch on Antoine Fuqua real quick because last week I was really upset with myself, especially because this is the point I wanted to make when we were talking about the legacy of Die Hard. That it's much more expansive than the sequels. It changed the action genre for still to this day, and you got Speed on a Bus or
Die Hard on a Bus.
Die Hard on a Bus. Die Hard
with speed. Yep.
Die Hard on a Plane. Die Hard in the White House. Die Hard in all these different things. It's this like normal kind of action hero, being the hero. And Antoine Fuqua's made a ton of money and had a good career out of creating those kind of movies. And
correct.
So,
The
Equalizer.
Oh man, the Equalizer with Denzel was so great, and the soundtrack, the score to the Equalizer is it is so great.
I just remembered I found something out about Eternals. Guess who's scoring that movie?
Giacchino?
No.
I don't know.
Ramin.
Oh, Djawadi. Very nice. All right, cool.
Yeah.
All right.
So
I like it.
Oh, yes, please. Can I have that score right now?
Right.
Anyway, getting back to Infinite real quick.
Yeah. Another summer blockbuster.
But it's only on Paramount Plus. So
weird.
It's going to be a little weird for a lot of people.
I don't think a lot of people are going to see it because I just don't. I don't see a lot of people signing up for Paramount Plus. Yeah. So we'll see.
So it looks good. Let us know if you watch the trailer, which is hot. Now we have some TV show updates. I know I'm really, really excited. So Dexter is back with a teaser, and he's going in under the name Jim Lindsay, which that's about all we know. And he's still up. He's a lumberjack up in Washington, going by Jim Lindsay, and so kind of maybe tells us how he's been living undercover for a long time now. So and then we got another teaser for Cobra Kai season 4.
I am super stoked for this one.
The return of Mr. Terry Silver himself, the maniacal mother blah
man can't breathe.
The Karate Kid Part 3 in 1989. The guy who really turned Daniel bad for a short time. And they touched on it in one of the seasons when he said he was in Cobra Kai, and some people may not remember that part. That he was actually in Cobra Kai because of Terry Silver.
Man can't breathe. He can't fight. Man can't stand. He can't fight.
Oh man, that guy was.
He was such a dirtbag.
Such a dirtbag.
Such a bastard. Him and John Kreese both. Just absolute sons of bitches, and just great. Great,
those two sons of bitches now up against Danny and
Johnny Lawrence.
really good opportunity for both of them to really be a good hero. And
I cannot wait for them to team up with one another. I mean, they're going to screw it up. Like, they're going to have problems.
Yeah. Yeah. Johnny can't be good all the time.
Yeah. And Daniel's ego he just can't see past his own ego. So, I'm looking forward to it. They have not disappointed me so far, and I don't think they're going to with this either. So
right, and so very excited for that. Just give me season 4 now.
Right.
Now another TV show update. This cast is getting to be just so freaking big and awesome. Shooter McGavin, Christopher McDonald himself has been cast in Secret Invasion, the TV show that's going to be premiering in Disney Plus, with Sam Jackson, Ben Mendelsohn, Olivia Colman, Daenerys Targaryen. And now Shooter. Yeah.
Talus, meet me at the 9th hole at 9. So it's gonna be great.
I eat pieces of shit like you.
You eat pieces of shit for breakfast? What are you doing? I'm just looking for the other half of this bottle. There it is. There's some of it over there, and some more over there, right there.
Gold jacket, green jacket. Who gives a shit?
Oh my gosh!
What's the line in the woods?
Oh yeah, the bikers. I was walking down the green at 17, and there was 2 bikers having sex in the woods. Yeah, 2 naked bikers. How am I supposed to putt with this?
Or is he saying like, I'm not keeping it? What does he say?
Yeah, everybody. It's good for golf. Everybody thinks it's good for golf. Well, it's not. It's not good for me.
Man, he is so good in that movie.
He was really great.
Shooter,
which we'll talk about a little bit later. 1996. Happy Gilmore.
It's going to come up. So very excited to see more about this TV show with this cast already. Yep. It's going to be a big story in the MCU. So we'll see where it goes.
Yeah.
So that's the rundown. You got your rundown.
Great. Yep. That was a good one.
So now we're going to move to a special segment called 1996, the year in cinema. We're doing this year because when you start looking at the releases, it's just banger after banger, and sometimes bangers on top of bangers released.
Yeah.
There's a couple dates throughout this year where 3 or 4 movies were released where you're just like, how did they all compete together? I mean,
right.
It's and so I know it's a special year for you, Eric, for what you were doing at the time and where you were working.
Yeah. Well, we should definitely talk about where we were in 1996 in life, because we both were in radically different positions, based on our age and stuff. So I was 19, going on 20 in 1996. I was working. I was managing. I was managing a car wash during the daytime, and then at night I was working at a video store. And this was the height of like the video store. I'd say the height, but it was video stores. Yeah, I was not working at Blockbuster. I was working at a smaller chain.
Ray.
Yeah, it was
Showtime.
Actually, no. Blockbuster was second rate in our town. Showtime Video ran that town when it came to videos. Everybody loved Showtime. We had 2 stores. Blockbuster only had 1 store in town, and we had 2. So Showtime was where it was at, and everybody wanted to work at Showtime. Like everybody wanted to work there. So it was great. It was really cool. So it was a neat time in my life, and so there's some really great memories with some really great friends that were made that summer. And then where were you? So where were you in 1996?
Oh, I was in elementary. No, I was graduating 6th grade.
Okay, yeah.
And going into 7th grade.
So junior high, yeah.
Yeah, so big year for Darren.
Yeah.
But doesn't mean that it's not important to me, because some of the releases this year were big for my family, like big in our family. Still important to this day, and some of these movies I still watch this day with utter joy and love. So
yeah. So what is that? 10? That's 10 or 11 years old. Were you 9 going on 10?
Going on 13, Eric.
Okay. So sorry. I don't know what 6th grade is. I'm sorry. So,
you don't know how old I am?
I don't.
Shoot, I may have told people how old I am.
Right.
They can figure it out if they can do that math.
Yeah.
Anyway, so what we're going to do is we're going to run through kind of month by month release, and we'll mention some of the movies that stood out to us. We'll mention them, and then we have, for a couple of the movies throughout the month, we'll talk about, because it's got a story to it, or it's got some great quotes,
right.
And so what we will do is we'll post this link on our Twitter at the Nerd Rundown, and take a look at it, because we're not going to mention every single movie, because it would take us 17 hours to do that.
Yeah, right.
And you'll be amazed at some of the movies we don't even mention, or don't even, we mention or don't even talk about. So
don't really get a chance to talk about. Yep.
It's incredible.
Yeah, it's a really great year.
That's an understatement, really, when you look at it. So starting off in January, right off the bat, they got the year going strong. First movie there in January was released was 12 Monkeys, and then we'll go through the movies again, and we'll mention it at the end. 12 Monkeys, Don't Be a Menace, and from Dusk Till Dawn.
Yep. 3
big movies kind of in our lives. Anytime Bruce Willis does sci-fi, it's good.
It's great. Yep.
It's Terry Gilliam, Brad Pitt were also in that, Christopher Plummer, David Morris. But don't be a menace to South Central while drinking your juice in the hood. It's just
the Wayans brothers
message. And so it is I remember watching that that year, even in the following years, and it's still just a quote will just pop out of my mouth from that movie. It's so
yeah, it's great. The Wayans brothers were really getting
it's
going.
A big year for them.
Yeah,
and they started off with this, so that's how big it was. And
and from Dusk Till Dawn was cool. That was a Robert Rodriguez. I think that was one of Robert Rodriguez's early films.
Yeah.
So that was really great. George Clooney and Quentin Tarantino.
Yep. And all the usual suspects from his movies. So
yeah, for sure. Yep.
And then we move into February, and this is really where it starts stacking up.
Yeah.
Right off the bat. February 2nd, Black Sheep, Dead Man Walking, The Juror, and White Squall.
Right.
Black Sheep for me takes the cake on what is the best out of that.
Right.
But then after that, you go down the list, you start.
But from the acting chops side of the house, Dead Man Walking with Tim Robbins, and Susan Sarandon,
time.
Yeah. I mean, it just The Juror was okay. White Squall, Ridley Scott's White Squall.
With Jeff Bridges.
Yeah. So I mean,
incredible.
All 4 movies on the same day. Just you're like, holy smokes, this is crazy.
February.
And this is February. So just to give people context around release schedules, just so you know, February is where movies go to die. So you get February and March is where they release movies that they don't think are going to be very good. Right. Is usually when they drop something in February. So these are all dropped on the same day in February, and it's like, holy smokes, this is unbelievable. The test
of time movies.
Yeah, right.
We got Broken Arrow later in the month.
Right. None of these are the best movie to come out. Well, maybe Black Sheep, but I don't think so. The best movie to come out this month is still coming up. So yeah. Yeah,
and the best movie of the month is something we've already talked about.
Right.
I believe that's Mr. Gilmore.
It is Mr. Gilmore, yes. So, and you can count on me meeting you at the 18th. The parking lot. Yeah.
Oh my God.
Speaking of James Bond, the Jaws from James Bond. That's so great.
Oh yeah, Jaws. Kevin Nealon had a really great
so good
role in that movie. So Happy Gilmore. I remember watching that with my dad. I almost never heard my dad laugh harder. Maybe watching Tommy Boy, and that was it.
Yeah.
And speaking of Tommy Boy, Black Sheep, you just reflect back on how much we lost, losing Chris Farley so early on.
Yeah, I remember. I think I told you this before, but you know, there's a few people that you can remember when you heard that they passed away, you know, and, you know, I mean, I'm 45, so there's a lot of people that have gone, you know, and Chris Farley is one guy that I can tell you exactly where I was. I was on my first business trip, my first adult business trip. And, I was down in Dallas.
Kids' business trips?
Yeah, right. Yeah. Well, it was the first time I felt like an adult, you know, like I felt like I was, you know, they gave me a corporate card and they said, here, go fly to Dallas, you know, and I was like, okay.
What do I do with this?
So I actually, so I was actually headed to Dealey Plaza to go see where JFK had been assassinated. And I remember listening to the radio and the guy came on and he said, you know, we get news out of I think Chicago or something like that. Chris Farley had passed away, and I was like, oh my gosh, man, it was so bad. I remember him and Kurt Cobain. Those are the two in the 90s that I can remember exactly where I was and who I was with, or you know, what I was doing at that time. But
Robin Williams, for me, I remember when I was at work at Home Advisor, and that hit hard. Okay, so Mr. Gilmore's.
Mr. Gilmore.
He's got the number one spot there.
Yep.
Then we move into March. We had there was a break of not so good there at the end of February, and we moved to March, and we got Down Periscope, Up Close and Personal, The Birdcage, Fargo, Homeward Bound 2, Executive Decision, and Sergeant Bilko, one of my all-time favorite Steve Martin performances.
Yeah.
And when you look back, you think, I mean, what's the biggest movie? Maybe Executive Decision. It was one of those instances where Hollywood released two of the same movie at the same time, like Back to Armageddon. Right. But Executive Decision is probably the better of the two movies, but Broken Arrow is more well known. Yeah.
I don't think either one of them were very good. Kurt Russell was great in Executive Decision. You know, I think John Leguizamo was really good, and I always enjoyed him.
5 minutes.
Yeah, and I actually wasn't upset.
He was done with his movie career.
Yep, I actually wasn't upset with that at all. You know, so but then you had Fargo, which is
Fargo's up for Best Picture, almost won. Really launched the Coen brothers into stardom. And the Birdcage
with Robin Williams
as well. And that was on the same day those two were released.
Right. My favorite, well, I should say, you know, from my own personal thing, Down Periscope is probably one of my favorites, and it's just a campy, it's a David S. Ward film, you know, so he did Major League, you know, he just it's just a fun movie. It's there, you know, again,
fun. Lauren Holly's so pretty in that.
Oh my gosh, she's so great, and the whole cast is really dynamite, and they do such a great job. You know, Harlan Williams is great, and all that. So it's just a great cast. So that's probably my favorite.
There's some real bangers in that month that we didn't even mention, so go back and take a look.
There really is.
To the best month of the year.
I think so.
Do you agree? April?
I think so.
Definitely.
Yep.
I can't think of why another month would be better, but in April we had Primal Fear. We had James and the Giant Peach, Jane Eyre, Celtic Pride, Mystery Science Theater 3000, Mulholland Drive. Truth About Cats and Dogs.
Truth About Cats and Dogs.
Well, that was kind of when Hollywood was shoving Janine Garofalo down our throats as some romantic comedy star, and it's like, nope, that girl is Daria. Right. She's just like, you could put lipstick on a pig, but it's just, you know, she's not who it is. And James and the Giant Peach was start of it was a big year for Roald Dahl movies. So it was good to see that. One of my favorite Roald Dahl stories. Well, and Primal Fear was great. You know, I think we mentioned it when we talked about Richard Gere and stuff, and his gerbil. And his gerbils. Or gerbil. Gerbil. Yeah, maybe it's just one, but that was a great movie. And you know, Ed Norton was nominated. Ed Norton was really good for an Academy Award. But you have a topper on this. One of my all-time favorite movies I'm not kidding you, of all time, it's probably in my top 5. I fall asleep to this movie all the time, is Mystery Science Theater 3000, because you know, you and I have talked about this podcast in relation to what your
what your dad kind of had. Yeah. But more to what your dad had said about us, kind of having this Wayne's World, almost like a cable TV show, and that's how Mystery Science Theater started. The Mystery Science Theater 3000 started as a public access show. It was just a bunch of dudes in their basement, and they basically they watched these old B movies, and they just made fun of these sci-fi B movies from like the 50s and 60s, and it was great, and then it took off. And so once they were able to get their own movie, it's one of my favorite movies. The humor, the comedy, it's just amazing. So Mystery Science Theater, it's super nerdy, and I wear it with pride. Love
it. All right, now we get to May, which is the start of really the summer blockbuster season, and we got some blockbusters. So for the month, this is what we got: Barbed Wire, The Craft, The Great White Hype, The Pallbearer, Twister, Mission Impossible, and Spy Hard. And when you look back at, we'll start with Twister because it's the best.
Yeah, it's the best one.
It's in the top 3 of everybody's list for the year, as far not as Academy Award winners,
right?
Favorite. Love Twister. It really wanted me to. I wanted to be a storm chaser for a little bit after.
Yeah. Lots of people
really got
did.
Me into tornadoes.
Right. Well, I remember going into the movie theaters, and they had signs up that warned people about the sound because it was so loud. You know,
it was directed by Jan de Bont, who was a cinematographer on Die Hard, and Bill Paxton's so freaking good in this movie. Oh my gosh, he's so good.
That's another talent that we lost way too early.
Too early. And maybe the sneaky best character in that movie is Philip Seymour Hoffman's Dusty.
It's the Extreme.
Why do you guys call Billy the Extreme? Because Billy is the Extreme. It never hit the ground.
It's the suck zone. He was so good.
Comes rolling up butt naked.
Right.
Not naked.
Right.
Butt naked.
He's a little naked. Yeah.
He's a little naked.
Yeah. It's great.
So and he chucks the bottle of Jack Daniels at the Twister.
Yeah. It was great.
Twister. That put it on the list of if it's on TV.
Yeah.
We'll watch it.
Yeah.
And,
I think going from the best for the month to the worst of the month is probably Barbed Wire, and Barbed Wire was terrible. It's based on a comic book, and Pamela Anderson, Pam Anderson,
comic book movie,
right. But it goes to, and I think what's important to kind of point out is people need to understand how successful the comic book movies are right now. Yeah. But prior to this, really the only successful comic book movies were the Batman movies, you know, and it really was just Michael Keaton's Batman and Batman Returns. Yeah. Some of the subsequent ones were, they progressively went downhill as things went along. But other than that, any other comic book movie, and we'll talk about another one coming up in June, that, based on a comic book character that it was campy. It didn't work out. Yeah. And so this was the norm of comic book movies going into coming out of the 90s, and all of basic comic book history it was just Batman was able to make successful movies. And so, and Barbed Wire just kind of
that really saved the comic book franchise.
Wesley Snipes.
Wesley Snipes Blade. It saved it. That came out in 99 and X-Men in 2000. And then shortly after that was also Spider-Man. But a lot of people forget that it's Blade, not X-Men, that started or saved the movie franchise. And it's also funny that it was Batman and Robin that basically killed the superhero movies. So he saved them for a while, and then he almost
killed them. Yep.
So great point about Barbed Wire.
And the movie
it made comic book movies risky.
Yeah, and the movie that we're overlooking is probably the one that has the largest legacy of all of them, and that's the Mission Impossible. We're talking around, which actually probably wasn't. It wasn't the best movie. It's not the best movie in the series but
still great movie.
Yeah,
obviously it's had 5 sequels. Fallout being the best, most recent one.
I haven't seen it, but I understand. I've heard that it's really good. This guy that I know, he's got a podcast. I don't know if you've heard of it. It's called The Nerd Rundown. Yeah. He really recommends it.
I really like that guy.
He really recommends it.
He's really handsome too.
He is a super handsome.
Weird.
Yeah.
Anyway, but yeah, great point. It's not the best, but it was good enough to spawn a lot of sequels, except for the second one was terrible.
Yeah.
Tom Cruise. And so I lost my place.
We're going into June.
Yeah, going into June. So good first month of the summer blockbusters.
Yeah. Yep.
Twister really dominated the box office there.
Yeah.
Even beating out Mission Impossible. So then we get into June, and let's go through the movies real quick. We have The Phantom, which is a comic book movie.
Yep.
The Rock.
Wow.
The Cable Guy, Eraser, Hunchback of Notre Dame. Dang, I did it again. Hunchback of Notre Dame.
Yep.
Nutty Professor, and Striptease. And obviously it's The Rock is the one, right?
Yeah, definitely. Yep. That's the best. The Cable Guy is a really funny one. It's a really great quotable movie, and it's a super underrated quotable movie.
Right.
Striptease was terrible. Nutty Professor was fun. Yeah. Fun.
Hercules.
Yeah, I mean that was really quotable, and
that's why I still dance when I eat. When I'm eating something good, I do that dance that he does.
I was never much of a Jerry Lewis fan. I never really got into the Jerry Lewis stuff, but Eddie Murphy's Nutty Professor was really great. Yeah, really good reboot of that series. Sequel. Yeah, The Phantom was terrible. Again, going back to the comic book stuff. But The Rock,
a really cool railgun.
Yeah, those railguns were super sweet. Yep.
But it's The Rock.
It's The Rock, absolutely
deserves this spot. Michael Bay's best movie, maybe. I mean, Bad Boys 1 you really have to maybe get into that debate at some time.
Yeah.
Definitely my favorite Nick Cage movie.
Oh yeah, easily. Yep, yeah. Easily.
And the cast in that movie is just unbelievable. William Forsythe, Ed Harris is an incredible. General Hummel.
Yep.
Michael Biehn, we talked about before. John C. McGinley, who I now know who that is.
Yes.
I looked him up. I was like, how did I? Of course,
he's so great.
Is.
Yep, he's so great.
Joaquin Woodbine's still kicking around. He was just in Spider-Man: Homecoming.
Yeah. Yeah, he was one of the Vultures guys. Yep.
Great cast.
Yep.
It's way funnier than it probably should be.
Yeah, there's actually quite a bit of humor in it.
But so good.
Can't cut anyone's balls off with a trimmer now, can I?
You want me to stick this in my heart? Are you insane?
Under the water? Stanley's not a very good swimmer.
That's his girlfriend.
Yeah, his girlfriend. Yeah.
Who became a big star in the TV show Las Vegas. Really good.
Yeah. Vanessa Marcel.
So The Rock that's
hands down June. Yep.
At least an annual watch a year for me. So hands down in June. Okay, then we get to July.
Yeah, just a small independent release. Little indie film.
Little indie film called Independence
Day. That's right.
A monster movie. Number one at the box office that year.
Yep.
Cemented Will Smith as a legit star. Hollywood star.
He was a box office dynamite, but this one
it was like this is what put him at number one probably for the 90s.
Yeah, he was the biggest star of the 90s, I think, for sure.
So real quick, Independence Day, Phenomenon, Courage Under Fire, Multiplicity, The Frighteners, Trainspotting, A Time to Kill, Joe's Apartment, and Kingpin.
Yeah,
that's an incredible month.
That's a 1 month. Yeah, and this is coming off of June and May, and we're just building
Marches and strong Februarys and a strong January.
Yeah, I mean, just amazing stuff.
Incredible, and it leads to a point you'll make down the road. But when you look at July, I mean, Phenomenon was a great movie. I loved watching that movie as a kid because I thought if I just go bang my head up against this wall, maybe I'll be able to move shit with my mind.
Yeah, right.
And I'd be really smart. But now I just can't do algebra. So
right, yeah, right.
The opposite
happened. Yeah. No, I mean, Independence Day was great. I remember, like I said before, I worked at the movie theater and I worked at the car wash, and I can remember the night that Independence Day came out, that they premiered at like the midnight showing or whatever, and we had about 100 people that worked at the car wash, I think, overall, and probably 50 of the people that worked at the car wash were there that night for Independence Day's premiere. We basically owned the entire theater, and it was just amazing. Like, it was so much fun. It was so much fun to see. Yeah, it was so much fun to see a movie with that many friends of mine, you know. That was just it was just really, really great. We had a really, really great time, and they didn't disappoint. You know, Roland Emmerich is the master of the disaster porn movie, you know. I can't tell you how many times I never get tired of watching New York City get plastered by something, you know, some sort of disaster, and so
that movie just was incredible. I mean, on every level, the performance is the best president in any movie, best presidential speech. Yeah. Bill Pullman. Today we celebrate our Independence Day. It never will get old. That speech will never get old. Yeah. Jeff Goldblum, Jurassic Park, Independence Day, which is better? Jeff Goldblum, like it. Yeah. He is on his A game for that movie. Yeah.
All cable TV repairmen can do that, Dad. You know, like him and his dad, Judd Hirsch, is so great in that. You know,
we're the only schmucks trying to get in.
Right? Yeah.
Right. Shut up about the fat lady. You're obsessed with the fat lady.
Right. Yeah, right.
That's probably my favorite Goldblum line. So I like. Sorry, let me go back. Take one step back. This movie is also really big in the Stimple household. My dad was just getting into the cigar business. Any movie that featured a cigar, we loved, and it was let's immortalize that somehow. And so my dad, in our basement movie theater, much like what you guys have, had the Independence Day poster with Will Smith after he punched out the alien, and he said, "Welcome to Earth." And that's what I call a close encounter. Yeah. Puts the stogie in his mouth, and that's the poster we had in the basement. And I will forever love this movie because of just that one reason. But it's got so many reasons to love it.
It's great.
It's got the worst extra salute. Remember it's almost Sergeant Bilko.
Yes, it's so terrible.
So dramatic.
He's got that helmet on,
it's like a World War II helmet.
Yeah, he's got that. Yeah, it's a Flightline helmet. So it's just really bad.
Incredible month, because it's hard not to talk about The Frighteners, which was
Michael J. Fox.
Michael J. Fox in the first Peter Jackson movie.
Yep.
Trainspotting introduced us to Ewan McGregor and.
Joel Schumacher's
Time to Kill coming really off great. Batman Forever. Joe's Apartment was MTV's first movie that they made. Kingpin, one of the all-time classic sports movies.
Oh, that's so great. The Fairley brothers, I took the liberty of milking your cow, getting up early and milking your cow. And then they look at him and they're like, we don't have a cow, we have a bull. Yeah, that's great.
So
great stuff.
Incredible month, an incredible month. And then we get to August and we get some letdowns. At least maybe at the time they were letdowns. Some of these movies have been able to withstand the test of time, and people have come back around on it, but it leads into a point you'll make. But in August we had Chain Reaction with Keanu Reeves, Matilda, Escape from LA, Jack with Robin Williams, Tin Cup, Gotti, which was an HBO only release, The Island of Dr. Moreau, which saw that was Marlon Brando's last movie, right? A Very Brady sequel, and the Crow sequel. Out of that group, easily for me is Tin Cup, which is one of the best sports movies. Yep. Kevin Costner may be the best sports movie actor.
Yes.
He's in so many good sports movies. Yep. He's so good in that. That movie is an annual watch for me as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we talked about it. We talked about it earlier about yeah. Right.
This is your last ball. You better make it in.
We talked about the sex and golf are the two things you can enjoy even if you're not good at them. He's full of just gems. The whole he's so full.
Back nine with my 7-iron.
he's so full of shit. Like during the movie, like he's just got all these different things. But he's got these great and one of the lines and I had to look it up because I couldn't remember the exact part of it, but he talks. Him and Romeo are talking. His caddy Romeo are talking about why you took the shot. And he says, he said I hit it again because that shot was a defining moment. And when a defining moment comes along, you define the moment or the moment defines you. And I've never forgotten the premise behind. Like I maybe don't have the exact details of that particular line, but it just is a very profound and very good line, because there's a lot of times in your life where you see that where you're like, this is a moment, and you may not realize it just in that very second, but if you take a deep breath, maybe you do, and it's like, this might be a defining moment for me, and it happens all the time. So
and it was for him. I mean, and what a great name, Roy McIlroy.
Right.
That's like a perfect golf name. It just feels like a great golf name. So that that struggled a little bit. I just saw, we missed it back in July, Multiplicity.
Oh, we did, with Michael Keaton.
We love Michael Keaton.
We do love Michael Keaton.
We get 4 of them in one movie.
Yeah, right.
Dumber, the
progressively worse. Yeah, the more copies you make, the worse
it gets. The 4th one is the dumbest. Yeah, right. And he's the one who gets to go and lay in bed with Andy McDowell. Touch my pee-pee, Steve. So, I love pizza.
Yeah,
I love that.
So good.
So I just had to mention Multiplicity.
Yeah.
Back to August.
But we had Jack. I mean, Jack was in there. So Jack sneaks in August. Directed by Francis Ford Coppola, Robin Williams, Diane Lane, Jennifer Lopez, Bill Cosby. Of course, we don't really talk about Bill Cosby anymore, but Yep. So, but I mean, great cast, great movie. Yeah. Just
so underrated.
And
just maybe it just is a good segue into your point, because then we'll get into September.
Sure. So you think about this. We've gone now 7 months, and now we're creeping into the 8th month of the year.
August is 8. Yeah.
August is 8, and so my thought is that there's a certain level of fatigue that has to set in among audiences, because you just can't pump out all this content that's really, really great all the time, and people are just going to still keep going to the movies. Right. So I think you had a couple of movies that fall in here in this August, September, and October timeframe. There's like a 3-month period here where there's some really good gems in here that maybe aren't on the tip of everybody's tongue because they just were tired from seeing all these like huge blockbusters and everything. And I feel like Jack is one of those movies that kind of, Tin Cup, obviously everybody liked that one, but I think Jack is one of those ones where it kind of fell through the cracks.
Yep. Good point. Fell through the cracks.
Yeah. And then I think moving into September, I think
setting in.
Right. And I think in September you get Bulletproof is another example of both that fatigue and
maybe wrong expectations
based on trailers and people's seeing other things. So let's go through.
Like maybe that was going to be like another Happy Gilmore, and it
right,
was not. It was,
right. Yeah, it was
very serious in that movie.
It was it was. He was funny in it, but in Bulletproof, that was a Damon Wayans movie. That was a Damon Wayans action movie that had and that was not what I think a lot of people expected. So
and so for September we had at Bulletproof, The First Wives Club, Last Man Standing, and Extreme Measures, and those are the mentionables. And so talking about Bulletproof, that and maybe even Escape from LA back in August. If these are released in a different year, or maybe earlier in the year,
They get better.
They might do better.
The box office looks a little better. People have better memory of it, that type of thing. But yeah.
Then we moved to October. So we're still in that fatigue season.
Yep.
We had D3, The Mighty Ducks, That Thing You Do, The Long Kiss Goodnight, If These Walls Could Talk, Swingers, and High School High.
I think there's three.
Some bangers in there, like Swingers, High School High, The Long Kiss Goodnight. Very good movies. I love The Long Kiss Goodnight.
Yep. There's another underrated one in there, the Ghost in the Darkness. There's another movie that I think we skipped over, the Ghost in the Darkness with Val Kilmer and Michael Douglas about the two killer lions, the man-eating lions. One called the Ghost and the other one called the Darkness, and man, it's a really great Val Kilmer. I'm a big Val Kilmer fan. We're
both Val Kilmer fans, yeah.
Yeah. So I think again, fatigue. Like there's. And
That Thing You Do.
That Thing You Do is, to me, that's the big one that stands out to me in this whole month and Swingers. Yes. I mean, Swingers maybe is more of an indie film and maybe it doesn't get there, but That Thing You Do,
anyway.
Yeah, but the legacy of Swingers lives on a lot longer than anything else, I think, in the month, except maybe The Long Kiss Goodnight, and That Thing You Do, I think, is another one. Tom Hanks's directorial debut, and just a fun movie, about a band back in the 50s or something like that, 50s or 60s. On the radio,
it was first getting big.
Yeah,
it was a really good movie. It's got a bigger audience now than it did back then.
Liv Tyler, and then I fell in love with Steve Zahn in that one.
Yeah,
he just was so great, so great. Yep.
Then we move into November and we get back kind of to the blockbuster.
We start to pick back up. Yep.
Right. So we had Romeo and Juliet, Ransom, Set It Off, The English Patient, which won the Academy Award for Best Picture.
Yep.
Space Jam, Jingle All the Way, Star Trek, Star Trek, First Contact, and 101 Dalmatians, and Sling Blade.
Yeah.
Wait, top boy.
Yeah. Yep. We start kicking it into we kick it back into high gear. We kick it back into high gear at this point. So
punch it Chewy because it's going back to full throttle, and we start off with Romeo and Juliet, big movie starring Leo DiCaprio, Claire Danes, Baz Luhrmann directed. It's got better legs now. It's another one movie. I don't think, maybe it was just like if you put together it was like on the edge of the fatigue season, but it's still getting out of it. So it's maybe a bit of a Venn diagram.
Yeah. Plus it's in the traditional Shakespeare, which I think a lot of people have a difficult time comprehending the Shakespeare English
in a new age movie.
In a new age set. But you had two phenomenal actors in Claire Danes and Leo DiCaprio. So
and then we had
but
Ransom.
I think that's where it kicks. Ransom really punched everybody in the face and was like, okay, it's ready to go back up. Mel Gibson. Mel Gibson is dynamite. Rene Russo is dynamite.
Give me back my son.
and Gary Sinise is just amazing.
So good.
He's so good. He plays such a great character in that. And for those who haven't seen it, I don't want to spoil it, but it's really great. It's really great. Yeah. So Set It Off is another one that sneaks in there that I think is underrated, but
Vivica A. Fox is in it, so please again English Patient, but for 90s kids, Space Jam is such a nostalgic movie for us.
Absolutely. And we're getting a sequel. We're getting a sequel for that, or like a reboot, I think.
With LeBron James. Jingle All the Way was a terrible Schwarzenegger movie. Trying to find the last action figure. I think Anakin Skywalker is in that.
Yeah, right.
But
I'll take it. Yep, I'll take it. So on the 22nd, we get Star Trek First Contact, which is arguably for me the best Star Trek movie, especially of the Next Generation. Easily the best of that series, if not one of the best Star Trek movies of all time. And I feel comfortable taking a person who's not a Star Trek person and sitting them down for the first time and having them watch First Contact, because there's not a lot of scientific mumbo jumbo in there that they're going to get lost in, which I think a lot of people find intimidating. It's more of an action movie than anything. The cast is really great. Even though in real life he's kind of a jerk, but James Cromwell is really, really good. Alfre Woodard is amazing, and then the rest of the entire cast is really great. But But the legacy of Star Trek First Contact is really cemented, and I think it does a good job of closing out of November and stuff. So yeah,
maybe I'll watch it someday. I mean, maybe once you watch Fallout. Oh wait, we already had a deal for that. That was. And
I failed.
Okay. You fail. Really glad that fail has fallen out of society as a term. Right. So then we move into the final month, and we really. It takes a little bit to find its legs, but we had Daylight, Jerry Maguire, Mars Attacks, The Preacher's Wife, Beavis and Butthead Do America, Ghost of Mississippi, My Fellow Americans, One Fine Day, Scream, Evita, Hamlet, Michael, which was the other half of the John Travolta
stuff,
kind of movie.
Yep.
And then Larry Flint, The People versus Larry Flint. So, man, it's really hard to pick a number one in this because you have Jerry Maguire. What a great movie that was. Tom Cruise, Cuba Gooding Jr. won the Academy for that.
He was so great. Show me the money.
Show me. I mean, it just there's all-time lines. Show me the money.
Oh yeah.
Help me help you.
Yeah. Hey, Jerry, did you know that the human head weighs 8 pounds?
Like the cutest line of all time.
Kid's so great.
So great.
And how many times? Shut up. Right.
You had me at hello.
Yeah, right.
Yelling at me, woman. Great, just a great movie. Who's coming with me?
Yeah,
I mean, how many lines
the fish.
in that movie?
The fish are coming with me. You know,
just an all-time quotable movie.
Yeah,
but it didn't change or save a certain genre like another movie in this month did. And so I'd say. I think even the box office goes to Scream, but for the number one spot that year or in that month, Scream was a behemoth of a movie.
Yeah,
and it really saved the horror genre because the horror genre was sinking until that came along. Wes Craven.
Who's one of the masters of horror? Yep. Yeah, I mean, right from the very get go, the opening scene with Drew Barrymore. You know, I mean, and so you have her in the trailer, and you think, oh, she's going to be in the movie, and then, bam, you're like, holy smokes! She's a huge star.
This kind of movie,
yeah. Like I mean, all this reminds me of the Game of Thrones. You know, where you have that first season, and you're like, holy smokes! Like that's Well, how's the rest of this going to go if this is how it starts? You know,
the iconic mask.
Yeah.
You know, it's just.
I mean, there's still kids. There's still kids dressing up. Like my oldest kid's boyfriend dressed up as the Scream guy this year. You know, for Halloween this past year. And I was like, holy smokes, man!
Yeah, it's still popular.
Yeah.
I mean,
and they're doing another sequel.
Yep,
they're doing another sequel that's coming out here pretty soon.
Some of the original people back.
Yep, Courtney Cox and all them. Liv Tyler, or Nev
there was
Nev Campbell.
A TV show about it. You know, so it's huge. Its pop culture influence is enormous.
Yeah. Well. So let's talk top 5 for you for the year.
For the year?
Yes.
Okay. It's going to be really hard to pick number one, and it may be just 1A, 1B, 1C because Independence Day, Twister, The Rock, in no particular order, there are the top 3 for me.
Yep.
Number 4, it's going to be a tough call between Happy Gilmore and Mission Impossible. So maybe that's just my top 5.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, you could easily make the argument for a top 10 90s movies in just 1996, and nobody would be like, oh, that's a terrible list, you know, like you could just pick movies from 1996 and everybody like, it's great, you know. It's really a great list, you know. So I have to say, you know, The Rock is probably number 1. Independence Day would be number 2. Number 3 would be Twister for me. Number 4 would be Star Trek First Contact, and you're talking to a guy who's a major Star Trek fan, and that's 4 on my list for the year. That's how great this movie year was. And then number 5 I think is Scream, and my reason for putting Scream at number 5 is I am not a horror fan. I don't like horror movies.
Great point.
I don't like horror movies. I'm not interested in being scared. I loved Scream. I absolutely loved it, and that was the appeal to it.
That's such a good point.
Even people who weren't.
I just got chills. That was a good point.
Yeah, even people who aren't horror movie fans watched Scream and loved it. You know, and you got.
It's like 6 for me. I mean, it would be there. That's you know, and so. What a year. And that's why we dedicate a special segment to it, because it's such a big year.
Yep.
It deserves some real cred, not only on the nerd level, but on all levels. It's but big nerd.
Absolutely.
Twister, I love Twister. I watch Twister 3 times a year at least. And Rock 2 to 3 times, and I watch Independence Day annually, Happy Gilmore annually. I mean, it's so many movies. And just go look at the list, people. When we post it, you'll go down the list, and you're just going to be like, and look at the dates that it's released on too, because there's some ones that are released on the same day, and you're like,
they stack up. Yep.
They wouldn't do that now. You see movie dates moving around all the time.
They shift them all around.
COVID, so. Yep. So thank you, 1996. We salute you.
Absolutely.
We'll do a Sergeant Belko.
Yeah. Why don't you live her alone? Get it? Live her alone. All
right, let's go to the nerd box, pull some questions out.
All right, let's do it.
One of our favorite sections. So we'll get these questions out and answered, and we'll wrap it up and move on. But first question comes from Morgan Santo, top questioner. Do you think if you rewatch The Watchmen now, it would be better, especially if you watch the full version, aka director's cut? I think it is one of the better superhero movies ever made, and I know that is a controversial opinion. Yes, Morgan, very controversial. And I'm going to tell you, you're going to die alone on this hill. I have no desire to get back into the Watchmen world.
Yeah, I kind of feel the same way. I didn't even watch the series, the HBO series,
and I heard it was fantastic.
I've heard it was really good. You know, I think the only redeeming character in that one for me is Rorschach. I like him. So you know, he's really great. I shouldn't say that's the only great character in that movie, because there is a particular actress that's in that movie.
I thought you were gonna say
no, I'm not a big Blue Dong fan, but Malin Ackerman.
Yes. Who's on Billions? Are you watching Billions?
I'm not watching Billions, but she was in Couples Retreat, which is one of my favorites. But Malin Ackerman might be one of the hottest women ever. So
I don't know if I can say that, but
oh my gosh, and she's pretty hot. She's pretty hot, but yeah. So anyhow,
not a whole lot of redeeming qualities. You're talking about Blue Dong, and Malin Ackerman is one of the hottest girls. That's what you take away from the movie. So, sorry, Morgan. That's just not going to be on my radar anytime soon.
Yeah. Yep.
Tim Edwardson's in a question. Did you see the Dave Filoni announcement? And so this is something I thought about including last week, but it only came out recently. This is actually so Dave Filoni, he's you know him. He created the Clone Wars TV show, which really made the prequels a better series of movies. Him and Jon Favreau have teamed up on The Mandalorian to create that show. And last summer, he was promoted to this position, which is executive creative director of Lucasfilm. It happened last summer. It only got announced, like it changed on the website like a week or two ago. Okay. So that's when people found out about it. But it's a new thing, but it's not a new thing. You know what I mean? Right. And you know, Dave Filoni, thank God for this guy. He's really starting to save Star Wars with The Mandalorian, Rebels, Clone Wars were great.
He's a fan.
Yeah, he's a fan. He's making it not for the money. He's making it for
it means something to him. Yeah, it means something to him. So
thank goodness for him. Yep. He didn't have anything to do with the sequel trilogy, as you could probably tell. Yeah, that sucked, but. Right. Good for Dave Filoni. He deserves all he's getting his way right now.
Yeah, and I think overall for the fans and for Star Wars in general, it's great news. He's going to knock it out of the park. I believe in him and Jon Favreau. Both are going to be able to do some great stuff. So yeah. Yep.
And then booking in the show with the last question, we started off with talking about my niece, and now we get to answer a question from her mother.
Yeah.
So Britt,
Hey,
my sister,
Britt. Yep.
hey, is Doctor Strange going to end up in other Marvel timelines? To answer this question very simply, yes.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
when and why and where, don't know quite much yet, but he's going to be in Spider. He's confirmed to be in Spider-Man No Way Home, which definitely seems like it's dealing with, the Spider-Verse and multiple timelines. And then his sequel coming out next March, Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, that's the title of the movie, and so that's going to have Wanda, and she's going to be looking for her kids in the multiverse, and he's so it's easy answer is yes.
Yeah, and they actually had him, and I don't know about the timeline stuff, but they had him originally slated to be in the WandaVision, and then they backed that out because they didn't want to kind of undermine her character by putting him in there, which I thought was probably pretty good move, in the long run.
Just there was stuff there that
they never fleshed out,
and it just it hurt the theorizing that went on with that show. Anyway, great question, Brett. Love you very much. Congrats on having an 18-year-old.
Yeah.
Down, 2 more to go.
You did it, Britt. Good job. Good job.
And so with that being said, again, thank you to all who have served, and especially those who have given, all. That we can do a show like this. We appreciate every single last one of you.
Yep.
Happy Memorial Day to everybody. We don't normally talk about what's coming next week, but it's definitely worth a mention and giving a heads up that Eric won't be on the show next week. He's going to be on vacation. Yeah. So I'm going to be like Wayne, when or Garth when Wayne gets fired and he's on the couch like everything's okay. So that's going to be me next week.
You'll be fine.
I'll be fine because I'm going to have a very special guest hosts on, and we'll reveal that later in the week, but we will definitely be missing you, Eric, and your godlike voice.
Thanks buddy. I'm looking forward to taking a little PTO.
You'll be on vacation with your family, and that's way more important than this, so enjoy that, because when you come back I'm gonna put your ass to work. Figure some shit out. We'll miss you. So with that being said, happy birthday, Ella. Love you very much. And Eric, I love you. I'll see you later.
Love you too, man. Thanks, guys, everybody.
Yep.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.